So, how did we get to the point where we've got all these PTs leaving angry comments under my posts? If you're new here, I thought I'd give you a quick introduction to who I am, just so you don't drop another comment below and make yourself look like a fool. My name's Kev Gomez. I've been coaching fully online for about half a decade now. I'm pretty damn good at what I do. I've coached IFBB pros, I've coached many other coaches, I've educated coaches in partnership with mentorships. So I'm kind of at least a little bit respected in what I do. I'm not the best coach that ever lived. I'm more than happy to admit that. I've got tons of guys that I look up to. Ben Pakulski, someone I listen to all the time, who would run circles around me. But I dare say for the price point that I offer my services at, I definitely don't think that you could find someone better. I do take a lot of pride in always trying to level up my skill set. I've built a decent coaching business, and most of that was built on having great results, having a great service. Most of this year, my clients have just grown my business for me by referring their friends, family, and that's basically been me not even really trying to push things on the business front. I just had my little boy, so that kind of brings us up to where we are now. Now, along the way, when you're coaching online for this amount of time, you start to see a lot of things that could very easily be fixed. You start to see approaches that with just a few little tweaks would be very easy to stand out. And I thought, well, I'm obviously a big Hormozi fan. And in the words of Hormozi, solve rich people problems, charge rich people prices. So obviously there's a lot of coaches out there that try to appeal to a higher caliber market, guys who obviously do very well for themselves so they can charge a decent penny for their online coaching. But the problem is that they did that solely on the basis of marketing. There was no back end to actually fulfill that. It was an online coaching service like any other. And from having educated coaches, from having held workshops for coaches, I know that most fitness professionals out there who've just done their level 3 PT qual and that's it, don't know what a moment arm is. Something as simple as a moment arm. Now, that isn't necessarily a dig, because again, plenty of these have the open-mindedness to think, well, what else is there to learn out there? What can I do to make sure that I become as good at my craft as possible? I want to charge people what I'm worth. I'm going to be worth more. So there are plenty of coaches out there who invest in themselves and who go to learn more and continue their professional development. But for every one that does that, there are about 10 who do their level 3 PT qual, get a job in some crappy pure gym, and just know the very, very basics. They know what is protein, why is protein important. And the crazy thing is that as soon as you just step a little bit further into the game, you realize that there is so much more to it than that. Try putting a competitive athlete on stage doing well with just making them hit their protein target without taking into account a lot of PTs don't even know what a complete source of protein is. They couldn't name all 9 amino acids if you ask them to. Just protein's protein. You can get your protein target in by having a protein bagel. That's why most people don't get great results with their trainers. The average trainer doesn't actually know anything. So I started to piece together a service that appealed very, very well to my market. I created a completely different approach to nutrition, something that isn't just rigid meal plans that you can't stick to, boring salads all day. And I actually came up with an entirely different way of monitoring our intake, because the alternative you might think is, well, then you just track your calories, Kev. And you could do that, but there are 2 problems with that. Number one is that you still have a lot of guesswork involved. Yeah, you know what is going into you on a daily basis, but the timing of your food matters. It's not just a case of when you eat. It's not just a case of how much protein you eat. It's also a case of when do you eat that protein? How do you distribute it? Are you just having 5 chicken breasts for dinner like most people do? No. I wanted to create an approach that would allow me to more specifically structure good example days of eating for my clients so that they could learn what good daily nutrition looks like. And I still wanted it to encompass the same level of flexibility and variety, so it wasn't as boring as these super rigid diet plans. And that worked incredibly well for these guys who do work legitimately long hours, not just students who are like, oh, I don't have the time, bro. Guys who are working like 60+ hour weeks, who don't want to be having to scan labels, figure out how many macros they've got left for their dinner, who don't want to be, confined to being perfect with their diet. This worked around all that. There was some really easy frameworks for navigating meals out, and as a result, some of these high-performing men on my team have got incredible, incredible results. I set up the service to basically, work for these kind of guys. The training programs, the level of efficiency, the exercise selection, and the lower volume worked really, really well for time efficiency, giving them time to dedicate to other things that mattered in their life. So I created this and thought, well, the best way to market it is by showcasing that this is a lot more than what your average pure gym PT is going to give you. This isn't where I just count your reps. You don't just come do a training session with me and 8, 9, 10, good job, mate, well done. There's so much more to it than that. That I literally made an ad, and the hook, for those who aren't into marketing, the hook is basically kind of what you start off your video with, or your script with, the first line, and it's got to capture attention. So there's a direct call out. It's like, if you're a guy 20 to 50 pounds overweight, I made a couple of iterations, some were a little bit more specific. I said, you don't need another influencer app, you don't need another Pure Gym PT, instead just drop me a follow. I didn't even say anything bad. I didn't say these, dumbasses don't even know what they're talking about, nothing like that. I was just literally like, you don't need that. Drop me a follow. I'll show you my methods for free. Obviously, the content is aimed to nurture. If you've landed on my page, hell, if you're watching this video right now, I did a good enough job of grabbing your attention that you've gone to deep dive a little bit more on who I am. If you like the vibe that I'm giving off, if you like the approach, then hell, you might want to take that all the way and work with me, and I can guide you through every single step and map out exactly what you need to do every single week to master this approach and get in shape for life. But obviously that starts with getting some attention. They got attention from the wrong people who are very annoyed that I called out these Pure Gym PTs. But the thing is that they don't have the accolades that I've got. They're sat there commenting, oh, you're operating from a scarcity mindset. It's like, no, I'm not. Show me your Stripe account. I'll happily show you mine. I just had my kid. I provide very well for my family. We're about to purchase our first property. I think I'm doing absolutely fine. Because the thing is that anyone in my target market is going to relate very, very nicely to the content that I'm putting out. So I don't need the approval of other PTs. I've got plenty of coaches currently on my team. Coaches who want to learn, who know that there's more out there to learn, and they trust in the level of service I provide because I've got a history of helping coaches. They're basically my target demographic as well. So I've got plenty of coaches on my team. The ones who are actually hungry to learn and see this as an industry where everyone can win. If you're just always willing to level up what you do, you can leave the competition behind by simply just being better. But instead, people would rather be deluded, make themselves out to be a victim. Oh, this industry, blah, blah, blah. The trick is, in my content, I'll mirror that. But I know that this industry has its flaws. Don't get me wrong. Clever marketing does bits. That's why I've got a job. Because other coaches out there make such big promises in their marketing, don't fulfill, and then I'm left to clean up the mess. the messes in the industry is why I still have a job. I've got this opportunity with this approach that perfectly balances the lifestyles of my ideal client to basically try to figure out how to get that more widespread and make it a household name in the fitness industry. But that wouldn't happen if the industry didn't have the problems and space for a real solution to come along. So it's all good and well me saying, yeah, this industry sucks, but I'm not actually moaning about it. I'm using that to my advantage to say, yeah, this industry sucks. Look what I can help you do about it so you can actually do it right this time. But obviously, when people start doing that, that does kind of fuck over the Pure Gym PTs. But the thing is, I'm cool with that because either you're going to be on my team learning to be a way better PT and making more money anyway as a result of it, or you're going to get left behind by the people that are. So either way, I win. Whenever someone comments shit like that on my photos, it's always just really, really funny because show me your collage of client results. Do they include pro athletes? Do they include really, really high-level coaches who make more in a week than you do in a year? If it ain't, I'm happily chilling. I've got a few people whose opinion matters a lot to me. I've got some close friends who I massively value from an integrity point of view, always keep myself grounded. I've got a family and a wife that doesn't hesitate to call out any bullshit that I throw out there. And I've got a great business mentor and friend in Ryan that'll happily put me in my place whenever I get some dumb ideas. So, those people's feedback I'll value and change accordingly. But until they're the ones giving me negative feedback about what I've done, I'm just going to keep just putting out a real solution and allowing the shit to filter to the bottom in this industry. I don't have to virtue signal. I don't have to say, look how much I care about my clients. I'll just let the results, I'll keep letting the feedback, I'll keep letting the growth of the business just do everything for me. So guys, if you want to get involved, of course, just check out the link below. You can see a little bit more of what we do and how. If that's your kind of thing, it'd be awesome to work with you in January if you really want to see what a 5-star service can look like and what the Pinnacle approach can do to change your life instead of working with another Pure Gym PT. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.